Mastering Topic 1.2, ATP from Respiration for energy-requiring processes, is absolutely crucial for your Cambridge Biology 9700 success. This topic shows up in literally every single exam series, without fail. But here's the crazy part. Even after studying the textbook cover to cover, thousands of students are actively throwing away top band marks, all because of one microscopic oversight.
Literally just one tiny missing detail in your ATP calculations or leaving out a single descriptive word in your formatting can drop you an entire grade boundary. We're talking the difference between an A star and an A, or an A and a B. It really is that brutal.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do so many incredibly smart, well-prepared students lose easy marks on these ATP questions and calculations? Well, it's because ordinary revision completely fails to address the core problem. Students just misunderstand what the examiners are actually looking for on the mark scheme. You might know the biology inside out, but if you aren't speaking the examiner's language, you're going to lose points.
So here's the exact journey for today's explainer so we can fix that. 1. Core principles. 2. The answer framework. 3. Spot the error. And 4. Examiner warnings.
Starting off with Section 1, Core Principles and the Answer Framework.
The whole theoretical architecture of Topic 1.2 rests on two foundational pillars: precise definitions and causal relationships. It's not just about knowing that ATP is the universal energy currency of the cell. You have to prove to the examiner that you understand the exact causal chain of how ATP hydrolysis drives energy-requiring processes, like active transport or muscle contraction. And this is brilliantly summed up by the principal examiner reports, which state, candidates referencing cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. Academic benchmarks in Cambridge 9700 prioritize analytical depth over superficial breadth, meaning if you're answering a question on ATP and you can effectively link it to other syllabus topics like membrane transport or enzyme kinetics, you're signaling a top-tier understanding. Cross-topic integration is absolutely your secret weapon here.
To consistently hit those analytical depths, you need a system. Enter the 4-step answer framework that examiners actually use to award those top band marks. Step 1. State the core concept clearly. Step 2. Pull evidence or data directly from the question prompt or graph. Step 3. Apply scientific reasoning to link that data to the concept. And Step 4. Execute using precise examiner wording. If you follow this path step by step, you leave absolutely no room for the examiner to dock your points.
And hey, to help you lock in that complex vocabulary required for Step 4, here's a really quick study hack. Just create a mnemonic using the first letters of the key terms you struggle with. Like, for the framework we just covered, concept, evidence, reasoning, examiner, just remember the acronym CERE. Or make up a funny phrase like, cats eat rare eggs. Seriously, whatever it takes. Engaging your brain to build these mental shortcuts makes recalling precise terminology under exam pressure almost automatic.
Moving right along to Section 2, Spot the Error and the Method Mark Strategy.
Now that we've got the theoretical foundation and the framework, let's see how you'd apply this to actual Cambridge-style problems. What is the hidden examiner clue that completely changes an answer? In just a moment, I'll reveal this exact clue, one that flips how you should calculate an ATP yield problem. But first, you need to see the framework in action so that when I do drop that clue, it's going to make total sense.
Let's play a quick game of Spot the Error. Take a look at this typical flawed student answer. Respiration produces ATP, which is used to move ions across the membrane. It sounds true, right? But it scores terribly. Now compare that to a top band answer. ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP, an inorganic phosphate, releasing energy to undergo a conformational change in the carrier protein, allowing the active transport of sodium ions against their concentration gradient. Do you spot the difference? The flawed answer is missing precise terminology, causal relationships, and cross-topic integration. The top band answer absolutely nails our 4-step framework.
So let's break down how this builds into a systematic procedural framework for solving those really complex ATP calculation and data problems. Whenever you're facing a daunting data table, just follow this standardized sequence. Step 1. Identify the key elements and variables. Step 2. Apply the relevant biological principles. Step 3. Execute your analysis with clear, step-by-step working. And Step 4. Verify your results and present them in the appropriate format.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible power of Step 3. This is our examiner alert, the method mark strategy. The examiner reports are practically screaming about this. Students constantly lose marks simply by not showing they're working out. Here's the secret. Even if your final calculation of ATP yield is completely mathematically wrong because you pressed the wrong button on your calculator, showing your clear procedural process earns you method marks. Method marks can literally save your grade. So please, never ever just write down a final number.
All right, Section 3, Statistical Tests and Data Interpretation.
Because ATP production is often measured in practical experiments, like using a respirometer to measure oxygen uptake, you have to be totally ready to analyze that data. The crucial point here is knowing exactly which statistical test to apply. Using the wrong test is a massive pitfall that instantly caps your score. You must use a t-test when you're comparing the means of two continuous datasets, like comparing the mean rate of ATP synthesis at two different temperatures. You'll want chi-squared for categorical data, evaluating observed versus expected frequencies. And you use a correlation test when looking for a relationship between two variables. Honestly, memorize these applications. Applying the wrong statistical framework will completely destroy a beautifully reasoned biological argument.
Finally, Section 4, Evaluation and Examiner Warnings.
We have now reached the highest stakes part of our explainer. Let's look directly at the evaluation criteria and the most urgent warnings pulled straight from the principal examiner reports. Higher order assessment objectives demand something called evaluative thinking. That means questioning assumptions, considering different perspectives, and justifying your decisions with hard evidence. When you're presented with data about a new drug affecting ATP synthase, you don't just describe the data. You have to evaluate the quality of the evidence. You must identify the limitations of the experiment, note any assumptions made by the researchers, and explain how alternative interpretations might affect the final conclusions. That right there is the hallmark of a top-scoring Cambridge candidate.
To ensure you maintain that top-scoring mindset, let's rapid-fire the top 3 fatal mistakes that cost students marks every single year. Warning 1. Forgetting units in your ATP calculations. If the answer is 34, is it 34 molecules, 34 kilojoules, moles? A number without a unit is just a wrong answer. Warning 2. Forgetting to check the units in terminology on the axes of a graph before writing your analysis. And warning 3. Giving generic textbook answers that are not specific to the context provided in the question stimulus. If the question is about a specific plant cell, your answer has to reference that specific plant cell context, not just some generic animal cell model.
So, we've covered the framework, the methodology, and the examiner warnings to secure your marks on ATP and respiration. But here is a provocative thought to leave you with. What if your biology knowledge is flawless, and you know the framework perfectly, yet the command words themselves trap you? Like, what happens when you describe instead of explain? Misunderstanding Cambridge command words is the hidden cause of lost marks that we hinted at earlier. If you don't crack the command words, all this framework knowledge is essentially locked away. In our next explainer, we'll decode exactly how those command words dictate the mark band you land in. Keep practicing, keep evaluating, and I'll catch you next time.